Hello and welcome to TVC News. I am Juliet Obata. The top stories. Libyan factions agree to resume United Nations-backed negotiations in Geneva next week. Bomb blast in Gombe, northeast Nigeria, killed 6 people, leaves 11 injured. The African Union reiterates commitment to help fight terror group Boko Haram in Nigeria. Glad to have you join us on the news. An explosion has occurred outside the Algerian embassy in Libya's capital, Tripoli, leaving nearby vehicles damaged, but no casualties recorded. Algeria and other countries have evacuated their diplomats from the country due to clashes between rival factions who are battling for control of the oil-producing North African state. Libyan factions have agreed to continue United Nations-backed negotiations in Geneva next week over ending the country's political crisis. This is contained in a recent report by the United Nations. But in a possible sign of progress, its main armed groups battling forces of Libya's recognized government have declared a ceasefire. A delegation from the House of Representatives and parties allied to Tripoli attended this week's talks in Geneva, but major representatives from Libya Dawn and the GNC Parliament refused to join, casting doubt over efforts to form a unity administration. A bomb blast in Gombe State, northeast Nigeria, has killed 6 people and left 11 others injured. The explosion is said to have occurred at about 7:25 p.m. local time at the Arawa market near the Gombe State University. An earlier bombing had occurred in the Kasuwan Mata area of Gombe on January the 13th, leaving 1 person dead.
I was at home when I heard a large noise towards this area. So when I came out, I found out that there was a bomb blast here in this area. And since then, this place has been thrown into confusion. You can see people running helter-skelter. I know, of course, there are a lot of casualties, but I don't know, I can't ascertain exactly how many people and who have been affected.
Head of the African Union Commission, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, has reiterated the organization's willingness to assist Nigeria to fight against Boko Haram. She, however, says Nigeria needs to let the AU know if its help is required.
The region has decided how they want to fight Boko Haram, and we support what decision they've taken. They are fighting Boko Haram. They decide on how they want to fight it, and if they need further help beyond the region, I'm quite sure that the AU will consider that and will act accordingly. As far as I know, initially Nigeria had called upon countries that have high technology to assist them, because they said that's what they were lacking, high technology. And they called upon those countries outside the continent.
The General Council of the Bar of South Africa has called on Nigeria and the African Union to take urgent steps against Boko Haram if it's mounting crimes against humanity. Chairperson of the group, Jeremy Muller, said the group is concerned at the mounting evidence of serious crimes against humanity, including mass murder, rape and persecution committed by the armed group in northeast Nigeria. He said the slaughter of unarmed civilians, last year's mass abduction of young schoolgirls, and the systematic attacks on schools constitute serious violations of Article 7 of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court and grave breaches of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Mola said the council wanted the Nigerian government and the AU to take urgent and effective steps to ensure that the perpetrators were brought to justice. And Chad's parliament has voted to send armed forces to Cameroon and Nigeria to fight Boko Haram, a day after President Idris Deby announced his intention to join the fight against the militants. The parliament in N'Djamena voted 150-0 to send an unspecified number of Chadian armed troops and security forces to assist Cameroonian and Nigerian soldiers waging war against the terrorists. Chad has so far been spared in attacks by the Islamic sect, but only a thin piece of land in northern Cameroon separates the desert state from the militant stronghold in Nigeria's Borno state. The United Nations has called for urgent protection of children in Nigeria's northeast. The UN Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict visited the region to assess the impact of Boko Haram's insurgency on children and the people. TVC News' Oluwatosin Owolabi has the details.
In northern Nigeria, over 900,000 people, many of them women and children, have fled their homes due to the Boko Haram insurgency. Towns have been destroyed, hundreds of children injured, killed and abducted from their homes and schools. During a week-long visit to Nigeria, the UN official met with displaced people from the affected areas.
I visited Yola, visited camps for IDPs, met with people affected by the conflict. What I saw is majority of the families separated. They lost everything. They lost sometimes part of their members of their families. Women that came and said that their children have been abducted at age 2, 3, 4, and sometimes 12, 16, whatsoever. Children living without family, about 100 children without alone.
The special representative also met with the members of the movement Bring Back Our Girls and expressed deep concern about the fate of the more than 200 schoolgirls abducted in Chibok in April 2014, and indeed the fate of all children abducted by Boko Haram. She was, however, encouraged by discussions with Nigerian authorities, which she said expressed commitment to collaborate with the United Nations to investigate allegations of violations committed against children.
They went through traumatized experience, and they need to be healed, they need to be reassured. They have a lot of grievance against their own government, against us as an international community, against neighboring countries, and I fully understand their anger, and I hope that we can respond to their needs and to ensure that their area is safe and can return to their community.
The UN says it will continue to partner with Nigerian authorities to provide better protection for children. Oluwatosin Owolabi, TVC News.
A UN peacekeeper has been killed and 5 others wounded in an attack by suspected Islamic militants on the UN base in the northern Malian town of Kidal. Gunfire followed by the explosion of rockets erupted from the area of the UN and French military camps in the early hours of Saturday. Residents said at least 2 suicide bombers had attacked the base with car bombs. Mali is still recovering from a period of turmoil that began in 2012 when Al-Qaeda-linked fighters seized its desert north in the wake of a Tuareg uprising. Fresh violence broke out in Niger's capital, Niamey, during protests against French satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo on Saturday. On the second day of protest, at least 2 police cars were burnt by demonstrators outside the main mosque in Niamey after authorities banned a march organized by local Muslim leaders. No casualties were reported. At least 1 police officer and 3 civilians were killed in demonstrations in Niger's second city of Zinda on Friday. Ugandan rebel group Lord's Resistance Army LRA has kidnapped about 10 people in northern Congo. Witnesses said those kidnapped included women and local traders, and they were abducted outdoors near the village of Bangali in the region of Bondo. Bondo has often been targeted by the LRA, which killed half a dozen people there on January the 2nd. The group also kidnaps men to force them to become fighters and women to become sex slaves. Meanwhile, Ugandan forces have handed over a commander from the rebel group, Lord's Resistance Army, into the custody of the Central African Republic, moving his transfer to the International Criminal Court a step closer. The United States Army confirmed last week that Dominic Ongwen had surrendered, marking a major success in the campaign to crush the LRA, a group which has gained a reputation for massacres and mutilating victims. ICC had issued a warrant to arrest Ongwen for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Advocates for global human rights prosecution says Dominic Ongwen's transfer to the International Criminal Court is a welcome development, as victims of the LRA will now have a shot at justice. You're watching TVC News, still ahead. Burkina Faso's farmers turn around a once-stony semi-wasteland to boost agricultural yield. We'll bring you details after this break. Stay with us.